and good afternoon, everyone. And firstly, I'd like to say I'm so honored and to be invited here for our project Hyunam, even though the project is the smallest tiny cottage house among the projects to be presented in this Archmarathon. And I really appreciate Archmarathon and Simona to invite me to present our project. Well, I'm from Korea. It was a long journey, around a half-day flight from Seoul, Korea. For, once again, the smallest tiny cottage house, only 40 square meter, sits on a hill in the forest. Yeah. Sorry. The title of the presentation is Domestic Landscape. Since our project is a private house, a small cottage, I better say a domestic dwelling landscape. This is our favorite saying by Martin Heidegger. Poetically, man dwells. Poetically, human being dwells. This is our favorite saying by Martin Heidegger in terms of designing a house and a village for human being. Now I'd like to introduce myself. My name is once again Kyung. Min is my surname, and a partner of Iroje. Iroje is the name of our company, founded by Mr. Seung H. Sang. And unfortunately, he's been too busy to work not only as an architect, but also official city architect for the city of Seoul, Korea. So he's been doing public service as an official architect. So he couldn't attend at this Archmarathon presentation. But since I've been working with him for over 30 years, I think I'm entitled to make a presentation for this project. Well, once again, I was quite concerned about how I can make a presentation for a small, tiny cottage house that has only 40 square meter for 20 minutes. So probably I want all of you, take all of you back to Seoul with a long journey, beginning with here in Italy, to show how we interpret the local domestic culture and landscape blended into our architecture and urbanism. I'm sure everybody knows quite well-known building. In 16th century, here in Italy, the Villa Rotunda, designed by famous architect Palladio. But I'd like to introduce our interpretation for this into our own the domestic culture and nature. In general, this building has one single center and a square cross, and beautifully decorated with many guards, and also guarded by them, the owner. And also, it has a lot of beautiful the panoramic view. So if you live in the building, you dominate all the natural surroundings, and you can enjoy your life living alone. And also it stands on top of the hill beautifully, with excellence of aesthetics. See this floor plan once again. This building inspired a lot of subsequent building designs over 500 years, even until now with modernism. Now, the right-hand floor plan is the quite famous Le Corbusier's, the villa building. And even now, many architects inspired by this building with the same concept and initiated modernism by many modern architects, including Le Corbusier. Beautiful, aesthetically, and imagination of dream to be come true, to make the aesthetical, the imagination design. As you see, this is the design for the dome of Villa Rotunda. After this, not only architecture, but also urbanism and city try to come true with this imagination. This is Renaissance era. As all you know, this is Palermo city in Italy, and you see a lot of the hazard and fortress, and also one single center point, a radial pattern. Yes, finally it came, true for the building. It still remains. This inspired a lot of cities in Europe. This shows one of the cities in Sweden. Based on Utopia, published by Thomas More in 1517. And from this Renaissance era, European architecture had a lot of imagination and aesthetics. Now, imagination. So, once you have an imagination, this kind of thing, then you build house, building, and the cities in Europe. So this kind of a pattern, we are very well familiar with them, with geometric forms. This kind of a city can be built any place, as long as you have an excellent imagination with aesthetics. Yes, we all know very well about this. 20th century, in 1924, our famous architect, Mr. Le Corbusier, suggested redevelopment master plan for Paris, even though it is not realized. So I think still Villa Rotunda kept inspiring the modern buildings so far. Left-hand side, Le Corbusier's Saint-Denis, I believe, is a new master plan. Right-hand side shows one small satellite town, city in Korea, recently, 10 years ago, built. The footprint looks very alike, even though the time being built is different. But the common things you can see, the color, and very look similar to one another. So you have a different color of road, different color of the zone. In other words, modern architecture in Europe and modernism influenced a lot of buildings, architecture and urbanism, even in Asia, including Korea. But to see this kind of map, quite familiar to us, Now it shows color representing commercial zone, green, residential, red represent the high speedway. The thin color of road shows a little the less speedy road. We are well known. 1955, St. Louis, a pre-Eagle residential project designed and planned by Minoru Yamasaki, built for 300 housing. Everybody praised this project for potential success of modern townhouses, but in fact, this ended to be a disgrace for the history of new town development. A lot of crime took place, including the murder, rape, thief, fire. I finally got empty, became a slum. Then, what happened? 17 years later, in 1972, finally it disappeared. With this incident, our famous Mr. Charles Chang mentioned that modernism has ended with this incident. Now, I'd like to take you to Korea, one of the countries, and also the capital city is Seoul. The left map shows 19th century of Seoul, and right hand, the recent map of current situation of Seoul. If you see a left-hand map, you see mountains surrounding the city, and also small alleys here and there, and then small creeks and rivers and residents without colors. So the back color is just yellow. Shows a lot of green and nature mixed with our human life. But seeing the right-hand side, the current map, showing current Seoul condition. Again, a lot of different colors of road and the zone representing commercial area, residential area, speedy highway, and a lesser speed road. Only I can see is the river still remain flowing in the center of Seoul. Again, left hand, 19th century photos of Seoul. You can see a lot of mountains and trees and rivers next to your house, and well organized and harmonized with the houses with the nature surrounding. The right-hand side, the current situation you see from Seoul. All chaotic modern buildings and looking like they don't get along with one another. It will be a quite interesting things you see at this building. Same era, 16th century, when Villa Rotunda was built. This building was built in Korea in 16th century by one retired scholar. This is built in the countryside of Korea. And probably interesting to compare the Villa Rotunda built in 16th century and this building called Dongnakdang, means enjoy living, being alone, not living alone, compared to the condition of Villa Rotunda we interpret. This is a floor plan of a Dongnakdang house. This building design I would say they didn't design the building. They designed the space by building a building and walls. So they design a space to define they wanted a space by building a building and the wall. The walls and buildings, and you see the space. And once again, this is the main entrance, taken photos from main entrance. Once you get into the main entrance, you see that entrance leads to three directions. One is for left-hand side, another one is right-hand side, and then straight. If you see right-hand side, you have a small alley leading to the creek flowing next to it. Another yard, you can see it. Even though the entrance is small, but defining a space for house. And yard again. And window in the wall, see through the other the side of space. A lot of trees in the middle of the yard, defined by wall. Building in the back is a family shrine. The family shrine was part of the house, and then they put another wall to provide a small space like this. This is an open pavilion. You see through from the yard to another side of a creek into the nature. You can see it more in detail. Yeah. Good. I'll go fast. The same map on the left and the right. See how define a space by a building and walls. Finally, 2000, Mr. Fusas announced the 7th Venice International Biennale, saying less ethics, more ethics. Back to Korea and Seoul, this is what we want to get back. All the very natural line of nature, mountains, trees, and the house will be a part of nature. This is a similar house inspired by this building. I'll move fast. Even though it is one house, but composed with different buildings, making a space and yard. Finally, we have reached our small project. Our client asked us to design called the meditation garden, called kind of an arboretum. And we advised them not to design a building or garden, just to design a space. Then we don't make any master plan. We just prepare what we see from mountain, river, and trees, or the domestic landscape. This is the building I'm going to present. And the others are all gardens and trees and ponds. We suggested to have the future cemetery for his family member. And at the end, this is a small, tiny cottage. So the reason why facing death, the people could be humble, to go back to be a part of nature. This is first initial sketch done by Mr. Sung, Hyosung, my partner, and sitting the house on top of, I'm sorry, it's not top of the hill, it's on the hill. Sitting on a hill rather than saying standing on top of the hill, I would say. It has 3 levels. On top will be a roof covered with all the grasses and stones and everything, back to nature. Main floor is a meditation room, considered to be a living, but the living itself is a meditation. The down below is a bedroom. If you see the section through, only 3 levels: the bedroom, meditation, and the rooftop. So once you cross over the top of the hill, you just ascend to enter to the meditation room. At the same time, you descend. You ascend to the top of the roof, covered with all the natural elements, including stones and rocks and grasses and small trees. Facade. The small cottage house in forest. More closely, I think eventually we intend this house to disappear. Getting into the back to your house, back to nature. This is the main entrance, you see, as you approach. You see the main entrance. Through the meditation room, you can see another nature through the meditation room. And then everything is covered with the grasses, rocks. This is a sunset. So even we want this building to be a part of natural element, the sun. You can see a lot of panoramic view, nature, with only one small table in the meditation room. Winter view. You see backward from meditation room to the entrance. Winter. It will be covered entirely. Take this building back to nature. Finally. Again, winter. This is a meditation garden, so-called. In fact, after this in Hyunam, we have designed another small building with a pond. Could be meditation dance performance. This is pond with a stage. That's the building for it. This is part of a garden. Part of a garden again. Well, not only 이루어져 us, But client invited Mr. Alvaro Siza to design one small museum and the family chapel. And we discussed about it. We and Alvaro Siza agreed to have nothing in the museum, only space. And also nothing in the chapel, only space. Thank you very much.